Welcome to episode 21 of season 3 of Whole Lotta Wolves. We're your hosts. I'm Joshua Buckley.
I'm Paul LePage.
And joining us from Florida Wolves is Mr. Stephen Hartill. How's it going, Stephen?
I'm good, gentlemen. How are you today?
Pretty good, pretty good. So tell us a little bit about Florida Wolves and how you got to be a part of them.
All right, so I originally from Wolverhampton. Well, Sedgley, actually. Moved out here, almost 30 years ago now. Um, Tried to set up an Orlando Wolves supporters club back in '94. Didn't really pan out. The club really didn't seem all that interested. But I guess with the build up with Folsom wanting to be interested in this, the club actually being interested in want to be in the States, it blew up a little bit. So I run the Orlando area branch of Florida Wolves. Paul Smith runs Florida Wolves, and we're all contained in all of that. So right now, I think we're about 50 of us in the Orlando area.
Oh, wow. That's
off
awesome.
Top of my head right now. Give or take a couple, because I picked up a couple this weekend. I just haven't had a chance to have a chat with them yet. So,
well, and obviously this last weekend was a great time to pick up new members with my Premier League Morning Fan Fest going on. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
So it was a bit of a blast, actually. We organized a bit of a fan meetup on the Saturday morning, sorry, at the Lucky Leprechaun, which is on International Drive. It's where I'm showing the Wolves games there. So I had a little meet up there with about 15 of us, I think. There's some pictures online. I've posted some. And then we all met up again on the evening just for a bit of dinner. And then I think overall, when we first got to the fan fest, there was maybe 10 of us. But by the time we all invaded the Man City match with Wolfie leading us to the front of the big screens, there's probably about 25 Wolves fans there. Kind of drowned out the Man City fans until, well, Haaland scored. Then we went a bit quiet, but that's all right. But a lot of fun. The NBA, the setup they had at City Walk was amazing. Fans from all over the country. It was a really good job they put together there. Hoping they come back, but wherever they go, I'll be there next time. So I missed the last couple.
Have they said, Paul, they're probably going to do one more at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, well, there's usually one springtime, I think.
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
Well, when I was talking to him, they normally do one, and what we were hearing from the Wolves rep that was there, they didn't expect to do one the rest of this year. But that's, of course, isn't confirmed. But the Wolves reps seem to think that they aren't doing one.
Interesting.
Kind of
I would think the next one's got to be on the West Coast now because they did Philly and then Florida. So it seems,
that
would make sense. It was California last year, so I think we're Texas is due. It's been a while since it was in Austin, so
that's true.
Yeah, it's possible. Dallas would probably be a spot.
Yeah. No, Houston would be a spot, Stephen. We have some great buddies up there in Dallas, but no, Houston over Dallas. Come on.
I mean, Houston would be a good spot, but I feel there's a push in Dallas right now. So for football, so I don't know. I feel like they'll go where they feel like the most push is going. It even could be, honestly, like Ohio or Michigan. They haven't been up that way.
Ohio.
And I know Chris would be happy about that.
Yeah, he would probably do a thing or two up there.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite part about the Fan Fest?
Honestly, most of it was getting with all the lads. meeting some, met everyone from Tampa Wolves, met some couple from New York that came down. It was getting to the Wolves with the Wolves boys, to be completely honest, was the most enjoyable part. But it was the seeing it grow, seeing what the Premier League and is doing now in the US is amazing. When I first moved out here, 30 years ago, as I said, you had one or two pubs maybe showing it if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you've got fan fests going, you've got multiple places showing it. It's amazing the growth of this sport in the US in the last 30 years. I mean, we've got Orlando City now here.
Yeah.
And we didn't have that. The closest thing I got to watch football when I first won was when we all went to the pub and then decided, hey, let's go have a kick around. That was about it. But it's just to see the growth of it. It really was. I didn't get my photo with the Premier League trophy because I don't want to take a picture of the Premier League trophy until we've got it ourselves.
I like that attitude, yeah.
Plus it was an hour and a half. I'm like, no, I'm not waiting that long.
An hour and a half. Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, nah, I'm good. But as I said, most of it was we all just the camaraderie with everybody. You couldn't do that in the UK. You couldn't get Wolves fans, Arsenal fans, Man United fans, Man City fans all together in one place in a big group and
without
not get
fights
arrested.
going on, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Without ending up in jail at the end of the night.
What Steven is saying, Paul, is all you English guys are fucking bastards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would have thought it was the Americans who are known as the nice guys, huh?
No,
we've seen some of those drunk fights in the bleachers, though. So
yeah,
it's not all sweetness and light in American sports. So
that is true. And God forbid you actually win a trophy, you destroy the city.
That is true. Well, it was probably good that you were surrounded amongst friends, because not all of us had a chance to do that, and we just had to sit there alone and watch that beatdown from Man City. And this was already after the very disappointing 1-0 loss to get knocked out of the FA Cup by Liverpool. Last week, just not a good one. Not a good one for Wolves fandom. Erling Haaland had a hat trick. One of them was a spectacular goal. Then the PK, and then the Jose Sa brain fart. So there weren't a lot of positives to take from that, were there, Paul?
There wasn't, that was the disappointing element from it. I think you're at least trying to lay a glove on them or really look to that bright spark in a narrow defeat, and there wasn't anything of that really. I'm somewhat encouraged that what he came out with and said that he got the setup wrong.
Yeah,
I think that was pretty obvious, and for him to make that sweeping change at halftime was pretty telling as well. And I think that's somewhat of a damning reflection of those that got the hook, I think. Personally, what I'd have liked to have seen would have been that setup that we saw away against Liverpool in the FA Cup that certainly seemed a little more solid and had some potency to it as well. But then at the end of the day, I think it is getting looked over that was Man City and the world's best striker. And if you're going to put that delivery on top of his head in the 6-yard box, he's not going to miss. So there's those that factor into it. Yet again, we have to talk about somewhat of a comical refereeing performance to begin with, and possibly a comical VAR call as well. That it just seemed to me that even if they got the first one wrong in the first half, what on earth happened for them to give that in the second, not show a replay to the watching audience and just let it carry on like nothing had happened.
That was a makeup call, without a
Well,
doubt. I
exactly.
thought
It was
I
like
thought the first one was a for sure penalty on us. I still don't know how that wasn't. And when the second one happened, it was like, yeah, this is a makeup call.
it's like
Yeah. I agree.
that's a penalty on Sunday, then obviously the one on Nunes against Forest was. So A, consistency, but B was that, oh yeah, guys, that looks really bad on slow-mo going back, that he did catch him and it was a penalty. I'll tell you what, seems it's half time. Next opportunity you get in the second half and there's a coming together, just give a penalty and everyone will forget it ever happened. And that just, it stinks a little bit that it makes you think like that when there's no looking into it. There's no replay. It was just whistle, boom, gone. No VR review, nothing like that. So, it's fishy, I think.
Stephen, one thing that I did like was we're used to the manager coming out and saying we need to find solutions. We need to, improve, blah, blah, blah. Lopetegui came out after the game and said, I got it wrong. I put the wrong line up there in the first half. How do you feel about him just really like taking charge and taking responsibility for decisions? That's something we really haven't seen in a long time.
It has been a while. It's encouraging. It's encouraging that he seems to actually care. I mean, I'll be honest. Bruno didn't seem to want to be there half the time. Nuno cared for the first few years. The last year, maybe not so much, because I think he already knew he was on his way out. Julian seems, so far, he seems to be getting the squad at least caring a little bit more. Yeah, he made some mistakes against Man City, but let's be honest, we're playing one of the best teams in the world. Everybody's going to make mistakes against Man City. The first goal, Collins maybe could have got there earlier, but problem is it was De Bruyne's ball, and then Haaland come. It's Haaland. I mean,
it's honestly two of the best, two of the top three players in the Premier League.
Exactly, and I'm like, you're not going to stop him. The penalty, okay, and then Sarr. I like Sarr, but this year hasn't been great for him. He doesn't. I don't know whether he's lost his confidence. I don't know what happened to him, because last year he looked good. This year it's like, is he there for a paycheck?
Paul, we do seem to have a Jose Sarr issue now. It's very clear Lopetegui wants to play out of the back, and pretty much Jose Sarr, every time he's touching the ball, I feel like it's gonna eventually end up like it did on Sunday when the Twitter account when playing out of the back goes wrong. What is going on?
I think it's multi-factor in that we're right in thinking that that's the approach that he wants to take in terms of that's how the attacks start to form. Now, this can go two ways in that A, is Sarr uncomfortable with it, which it looks like it is, whereas previously when there wasn't so much pressure on him to do it, he seemed okay. Now there seems a distinct strategy that that's going to be the route. So has he lost confidence based on that he's got that pressure? Or B, does he know that he's replaceable and that's impacting on his confidence? Because I often find, especially with coaches and new coaches coming in, that they like the goalkeepers. They like to have someone that they can trust. And I think we saw it not necessarily with Nuno to begin with, because he had to really effectively call on John Ruddy in the championship season. But as soon as Nuno could get the goalkeeper that he wanted, in came Patricio. Similar with when he moved on and Sarr came in, that it was a different profile to fit more of a large team. Now with this distinct strategy, I think there's definitely an upgrade in the works in terms of the skill set of that particular keeper. And I think it's often forgotten because of what a good season he had initially, but Sarr is only the third choice Portuguese keeper when we replacing the number one. So there was going to be that distinct drop off in at some point, and I don't think we're in that position that's necessarily good for us moving forward. We need that slightly higher caliber of keeper with a specific skill set, what the coach is looking for.
Stephen, what do you think is the solution? I mean, they did make a move this week, bringing in Dan Bentley from Bristol City. Do you think there's a possibility Bentley could have been brought in to maybe get some first team minutes?
I don't know if he's been brought in for right now, but he's a good keeper. He's got some pedigree. He might put a little bit more pressure on Sarr, but I think the other move we've done this week is the one that's more telling, is with Dawson. I honestly think we're going to go back to three at the back.
Ooh.
I think because of some of the issues that we've been having defensively lately, he's switched a couple of times to going back to a back three by bringing Toddy in and everything. I really think by bringing Dawson in, a level head, and someone who's been around this game in the Premier League for quite a while, that's why he's here, is we're going to revert back to three. And that would take a lot of pressure off Sarr.
Okay, well let's go ahead. We were gonna talk about this a little bit later, but since you brought it up, Craig Dawson has come in from West Ham to Wolves, and that is official. A no stupid question from Steve Young on Twitter. He said, "Will he start versus Liverpool? And if he does, who does he start in place of?" But you're saying, Stephen, you think him
back three.
He's going to start with them. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think, Paul?
Originally, I was thinking that it's going to be, well, you could approach it from a number of angles, thinking that you were going to retain the back four, in that if Dawson came in, Kilman has looked better in the team when playing next to more experienced players. Then you think on the flip side that is the opportunity there for them to both keep their place, because at the start of the season they were pretty solid, and until that Man City game at home, and then since Lopetegui's come back in, there seems more organisation. So there's that element as well, that has Dawson just come in as a traditional backup that can be relied upon given his age and experience. Then there's the other angle to say, well, even if it's not Kilman, if we go the other way with Collins is a lot younger. Has he got the higher ceiling that you just play him next to Dawson to take that experience on and to learn from him to kick on? But it's a really good point, that's somewhat of a curveball that Stephen mentions. That could they go back to three? And thinking of it now, it could make a lot of sense, in that that's exactly what happened against Arsenal when Lopetegui had got the job. He wasn't hands-on, but all of a sudden out came three at the back again versus them. So now you say it, I wouldn't be surprised that they
it is interesting. Once Steven says it, my first reaction is, huh? And then after that, it's like, I could see it. who would play sweeper then in that case? Does Dawson have experience at sweeper, or would that be
No.
a Kilman spot?
I think looking at it, you're taking a picture of this back five of being different to a Nuno back five in that there wouldn't be a sweeper. There would be three distinct centre backs. So they would still be playing slightly higher up the pitch. You wouldn't have that Cody figure that's typically the last man or that organizer. Probably out the three, if it was someone that was bringing the ball out, it would probably be Kilman, but I wouldn't look at it as being the same setup as a Nuno or large sweeper. I'd say it was distinctly three centre backs.
Interesting.
That's kind of where I was thinking it'd be a straight back three. But I was thinking more of Collins in the centre because he's looked decent with throwing the ball around a little bit. I think he's looking confident to a point. I think he might be a bit more of a playmaker than Kilman lately. Kilman, I don't know what's happened to Kilman over the last like month or since we've been back. I don't know if he had too much of a rest during the World Cup, but he hasn't looked the same player recently.
I feel with Kilman, he hasn't looked the same since last year when at about the same time Ukraine got attacked and there was the big push for him to be a part of the English national team. And it's like those two things happening together were super high stress. And I don't think he's ever really gotten on that same level, Paul.
I think with Kilman, it's a confidence thing, and it's the players that he's playing alongside that you do have those more experienced players like a Cody, and the protection that he got offered as well. We've never seen him really in a back four, and certainly over a consistent period as well. So I think a lot of his better games have certainly been in a five.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a few things that factor into that. It could be that we've put him on this pedestal and he's under the spotlight somewhat more in a back four, and he's not quite where we thought he was. He's 25, now. Where is his ceiling in terms of being able to kick on and really look the part in a Premier League defense that wants to kick on and move up the table? Or is he about finding his level? And Collins is the better out the two with the right partner. I'm still not sure on that balance.
Well, since there weren't many positive things to talk about in the Man City, let's go to off the field, where things have off the pitch. I gotta get this right, Paul, right? Where things have been really exciting. And I think Wolves fans have generated one of the most successful, positive Twitter campaigns ever. As I say positive, we didn't cancel anybody, didn't play anybody. We got Joao Gomez free. And this was just a ridiculous saga, a deal agreed upon. Those slimy bastards over there at Flamengo decided they wanted 2 million euros more because Lyon was offering it. And then it was very much them coming in trying to sell Gomez on it. Paul Gomez, he's signing a 5-year deal, although Rich Venville on Twitter said, will he pass the medical? Because always waiting for something to go wrong. But assuming he passes the medical, Paul, is this guy already a legend? Because he said no to Leon multiple times, said he wants to be with Wolves.
He could well be. He's just hoping on that medical front that he does pass it with flying colours, and after all this, that he's not shit. That he's had the biggest build up in the world. So he's got pressure on his shoulders that's really been not his doing. So let's hope that the YouTube clips match match with what we see when he puts the jersey on. But I think we can get excited if he's been that adamant about joining, that it's exactly the type of attitude that you want from a player to come in and really want to play for the club, which I think is great. But on the flip side, I still think there's been a lot of media spin about it. Does anyone ever know what goes on in the corridors of power and these deals keep on getting put together? And the obvious example we can lean on was Neves Nunes in the summer. That was, oh yeah, we're interested in, he's going to sign by July, and if he doesn't sign by July, it'll fizzle out and he'll go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
That kept on rumbling on, and I'm sure it's just for journalists to sell papers or clicks or advertising. That this deal could have all been pretty well put together in the background. We'll never know. And this could all have been smoke and mirrors just to add a little bit of excitement to it. But
I don't know. There is a lot of smoke there.
Well, again, this could happen all the time with these Brazilian or South American deals. It could be like the Wild West over there. We just don't know. But what it has given us is some excitement based on a player that to a few weeks ago no one had ever heard of, apart from a few savvy few. So it's just crazy. I don't think it's like financial fair play has been lifted, and this has been the craziest January transfer window ever, regardless of it being the Wolves. You just got Chelsea splashing the cash against for anyone. Man United are buying players, Arsenal are buying players. So it's all gone a bit crazy. So
yeah. Stephen, are you pretty active on Twitter?
A little bit here and there, once in a while.
Were you
crazy.
part of the hashtag free Joao?
I actually did
Gomez.
put a hashtag Joe Gomez on there.
Yep.
just for the fun of it.
Oh, I was creating some memes the other day. I was having a grand old time. And I do think it made a difference because he is active on Twitter. He posts on Twitter almost every day, and I don't think it's ridiculous to say that campaign made a difference, because he's got to be looking on there, seeing all these Wolves fans tweeting it out, tweeting support of him. I'd want to go to a club that's already like, I haven't even gone to England and they're already like embracing me and wanting me to get out and everything. Like, for a young kid, that's a big boost of confidence, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, and as Paul said, I've seen a couple of the YouTube clips as well, and he looks a decent player, and it makes me think that the Folsom are doing what they did a couple of years ago. They're bringing in all these youngsters again. It means regardless of if we're up or down, there's a clear out at the end of this year. We'll see how that goes, unfortunately. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we'll never know. But Gomez, I said, the social media push that we got from Wolves, the Wolves fans out there. I mean, did that tilt it? Probably, to be completely maybe a little bit. You seen he was dead set on not going to France.
He was. It was so glorious. It was and you'd see some people in the comments from Leon. They were like, "Oh, come on to Wolves," but there'd be like 10 Wolves fans going, "Free Al Gomes, free Al Gomes."
I mean, I don't know what tilted. If we did, great, but he did not want to go there. He said he'd stay in Brazil.
I'm glad to see somebody over there could keep their word, because Flamengo sure couldn't.
No, I know, right? They just wanted a little bit of extra money. Like,
Paul,
they could have just told us that.
Paul, so I want to ask, if we were on the other side, let's say we had made a verbal agreement and somebody came in at the last minute and offered us £2 million more for a player, but we'd already made the verbal agreement. Would you be upset if we had backed out of that verbal agreement for over £2 million?
football wise, again, it's a murky world that you never know what goes on, and would that favour come back and be repaid at another time? I don't know. If we're going to argue over £2 million individually, then yeah, I'm going to be pushing for that 2 million. So, any lottery winners out there we want to chat about?
I don't know, man. Karma. I think it's. I wouldn't want to get the reputation for that. To be, well, yeah, I'm somebody that, yeah, I'll agree. I brought it up on Twitter. I said that would end some friendships if that happened in a fantasy football league.
Yeah.
Where you had a deal with
right,
somebody and then they took another deal. Oh man, that would, yeah, there would be
I think
mean text chain going on. Oof.
I think if it all does go through, the Wolves have got to be quite, not transparent, but at least be forthcoming in delving into a little what went on in terms of the different bids and whether they were made to pay extra, because they've got a safe face in this, that they don't want it happening again. That, okay, Wolves are going to come in and that they'll bid, but if you squeeze them a little bit more, or you stretch it out over a week or two, you'll be in for a couple of million more if you really push them. So they've got to come out of it and save face. So I think we could see some transparency when it comes to this, to say about how it really went down, so that they're protecting their negotiating power in the future.
I think Gomez's side of the story will come out first, and I think that's going to be really interesting, because I'm sure the journalists are going to ask him about the hashtag campaign. So yeah, it'll be fun to have him here. Now, a no stupid question, Charlie on Twitter asked, which prison-based movie should the team base the Joao Gomez announcement video off of? Paul, I'll let you start. Which movie?
Well, I'm going to give it Stephen, because I think he might say the same one as me.
There's only one. It's got to be Escape to Victory.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the only one that we could use. I mean, we're already down there. I mean, that's it. What else? What else could we use?
Instead of Sylvester Stallone saving the penalty, it's Joe Gomez coming up with a last-minute winner. So.
Yeah, there we go.
I did think that the other obvious answer is Shawshank Redemption. Joao Gomez crawling through 3 football fields worth of shit to get out.
That's good too.
Yeah. Also, Man in the Iron Mask, very underrated. I could see that. They have him hidden with an iron mask on, and they have like this twin up there who's trying to tell Leon, oh yeah, I'll come to you guys.
The bar for announcement video has been set pretty high from Burnley as well when it comes to movies. So
yeah,
if they're thinking along those lines, Burnley have done some really good stuff in terms of their announcements and playing off a popular culture. So
I almost think even more than a prison movie, you could make this a rom-com where it's like, the girl's parents want her to marry this guy, but she's in love with this other guy. So, Paul, we've been looking for a sequel to Bromance with an Option to Buy. I mean, this might be the start of it, the movie.
Oh,
it could be.
Well, or you've got, instead of You've Got Mail, We've Got Joao. There we go.
Okay, so that's what we need from our Twitter base. We need a new movie for the rom-com with Paul, who will be once again played by Jason Segel, and or no, did we say Seth Rogen or Jason Segel? I can't remember.
All right, that seems it's a sequel. It can all start from scratch. So
it can all start from scratch. Or is it in the same? Is it in the same universe? The Paul LePage cinematic universe?
Yeah, we've got to cast it out to the masses. I don't think we can be too prescriptive on this. We've just got to let the creativity flow.
Okay, so since Steven's here while we're talking about it, Steven, I'll give you your first choice on who you think would be a good person for Gomez to play Gomez in there.
Oh, wow.
I almost wish that John Leguizamo was younger, because that could have been a good one.
Yes. Yeah, I almost said Michael Pina, but that's not who I was thinking of.
Yeah. I know what you're going. I know where you're going there.
I'll think of his name. No, nothing.
Yeah.
It'll come in
Yeah.
a minute.
We'll
I'll
have
shout him
to.
out in a minute.
Yeah, we'll have to think of these.
Circle back on that one.
Yeah. I think
I'm in
that's
the
gonna
wrong
be
room with all my movies.
I think that's definitely going to be the newest running bit here, Paul, is the new movie about you and
There we go.
Joao Gomez. All right, let's see. There's some other stuff going all the way around. We mentioned Dan Bentley coming in as the new keeper.
Yeah.
Fabio Silva. It's amazing. Anderlecht won't let him come back here, but by God, they'll let him go to PSV. I don't know. Paul, are you disappointed that Fabio did not come back for the rest of this year?
No, because again, a little like Morgan Gibbs White previously, it could have done more harm than good. My only caveat to that is I still think a strike is needed, and it's not even necessarily to be that starting number 9. And I think it was, we can add that no stupid question in here at this point on Twitter from Timothy Jackson. He says it's now the end of the January spending spree. Seems like a number of solid new faces to integrate for our push up the table. I say it's not. I think there could be a surprise out and out attacker come in. And even I'd just like it to be a different option off the bench. And especially with the choice that we've got now in terms of the more depth on the bench, more opportunity to make a sub. I'd really like for Lopetegui to look behind and see that I've got an attacker who's a striker, a forward, either in form, that can potentially be a game winner and come off the bench and cause some trouble. If that's Gorkes from Coventry, who knows? That seems to have gone a little quiet. I can't remember whether, I'm pretty sure Liam Keane from the Express and Star said that interest earlier was genuine. Yeah. So if they are, they must be looking for an attacker if they've let Fabio stay out on loan. So I'm okay with it. I think it'll be good for his development. It's a better team, certainly a better coach to learn off, like one of the best to ever put on a Manchester United jersey as a striker and a number 9. You learn a heck of a lot of Van Nistelrooy, but they've got to be bringing someone in. There must be, even if it is a younger player that can possibly start and be content with a place on the bench. He needs to have someone that he can turn to and think that I can bring him on and the lad's got an opportunity to put the ball in the back of the net, because none of them who are in that berth now look like they can do it.
No.
Steven,
I mean,
I asked this question to a lot of people, and they get mixed answers. Has Fabio played his last game in a Wolves kit?
Nope. I don't think so. Not at all. I like him. I really do. There is a player there. I think he was brought in to learn his first season, and then Raul got injured. And then he had to start. And I think his confidence just got shattered. The pressure that we didn't expect him to have was immense. And all his confidence just went. He looks like he could be a world beater. He's got the skill and he's got the speed. He's proving on loan that he can score. as Paul said, I'm glad they didn't bring him back because he is playing well and he is gaining his confidence back. So I think next year he'll be in a Wolves shirt, not a problem whatsoever. I also agree, as Paul said, we do need a striker. I think one's probably coming. I was reading something earlier about a Bristol City striker. Can't remember his name off the top of my head that they were looking at. Young kid. Think that might be an option, as well as another defender. I was reading something about a Real Madrid guy earlier, but who knows? But when it comes to Fabio Silva, I will die on my sword with Fabio. He looks a very, very good player. We overspent for him probably, but you know what? In 5 years, if he's still wearing a Wolf shirt, scoring like crazy, then we can all go, "Oh yeah, remember when we spent that much?" We'll see.
Interesting. Yeah, as far as the rest of the month, I still think there's going to be a surprise outgoing, and I still think it could be Nelson Semedo. There's enough right backs out there, especially if Wan-Bissaka is still available through loan. I could see Wolves making a move there if they feel they're going to get enough from Semedo. They're not going to get a full return on their investment, but I think if they can make a decent deal, I could see that happening. Although I say right back, Gianna Hoover is Kiana
Back.
Hoover
Yay.
is coming back.
Yay.
You know what?
Can't wait, no.
I was reminded of the scene in The Lion King where little Simba's talking to Scar and he's like, "Oh, you just and Scar goes, "Oh, forgive me for not jumping for joy. Bad back,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about this. Yay. That's great. Paul, we're never gonna see Hoover again in a Wolves kit, are we?
I doubt
Because
it.
he's gonna go back out on loan.
I think go back on loan, try a little damage limitation that if there is question marks over attitude or application, that they get diluted over the next few months if he can put some games together somewhere and potentially get a move back into Europe. I think that would be a case of the Wolves just being satisfied in cutting their losses and moving him on without it being a total disaster in not getting anything for him.
I know a lot of people don't like Morgan Gibbs White because of his attitude. He has not gotten tossed off two teams like Kiana Hoover has. I mean, it's bad. He must have the biggest poo-poo attitude out there. So those were the incomings, but now outgoings. Chelsea is trying to buy the entire country at this point. Now they're interested in Matheus Nunes. Although there's reports of Liverpool coming in. I do enjoy the price tag, Paul, how it's basically like saying Wolves are going to get $1 out of this deal. Like, shut up. Chelsea's going to be in big trouble here soon, though, with the fair play regulations. I don't know if you guys saw this, but they're going to put a rule in place because they've started stretching it out to 8-year contracts.
Yeah. I saw
they're
that.
like, you can't do that. That's the stuff they were trying in baseball too, stretch it out like that. And baseball had to be like, "Nah, guys, that's not how this is going to work." Paul, I mean, seeing that we've got Lamina in now, that we got Gomez coming in now, are you content with Nunes and Neves being gone this summer now that with the new incomings?
I think it's a changing of the guard somewhat, and is it being done with that in mind that one or possibly both of them are due to depart? You kind of think that's what it's been set up for, in that you pretty well stacked in the centre midfield now for sure. I think my only reservation to that is when it comes to that Moutinho role that he's been playing as that more advanced attacking midfielder. I don't know Gomez's game well enough to suggest that it could be him.
See, I've kind of heard he's more of a 6.
Yeah, I think he's
Yeah.
like for like, that's the most Neves replacement. Lamina seems like something we haven't got. I think we've got time on our side with Traore that he's probably the youngest and the most raw. He'll be in a good spot to develop off the bench. If Neves and Mateus go and Moutinho, we still need a replacement attacking midfielder. That's what I'd say it is down to.
Stephen, I'm starting to feel like a little hopeful that Neves could stay and sign an extension. What are your thoughts on that?
Now, don't get me wrong. I would love it. I would love it. But as Paul just said, I honestly think so. Gomez is apparently a defensive midfielder.
Mm-hmm.
If he is a defensive midfielder, we have just signed Neves' replacement.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say that. I want him to sign a new contract. I know he loves the club. But he's getting to that point in his career where he's not in Champions League, it's never going to happen. So I'm not going to begrudge him if he goes. When Paul's saying Nunes going as well, I don't think so. I really don't.
Really?
That's
really the one you think would stay?
I think Neves will be gone for probably about 40, maybe as little as 30, because 1 year left on his contract at the end of the year. Nunes, I think will stay 1 more year, or depending on what goes on. Unless it's silly money. If they throw 50 at us, I don't think we'll say yes, because really we're not really making that much on it.
You're right.
If they throw 70, 80, then you're talking.
Then I'll pack his bags.
Yeah, I will too. I'll help you.
Yeah.
You going? Are we going to Liverpool or Chelsea? I mean, I unfortunately I don't. I really hope Neves doesn't go, but the writing's on the wall. Moutinho, I can see moving into our back room. I don't. Moutinho is going to retire and come back and coach for us. I can see that happening. But as Paul said, we need something midfielder wise, a youngster. And Lamina looked decent, but you know, it was Man City. I need to see him against, let's be honest, Southampton.
Yeah.
Where we've got more of a shot to do something.
Yeah. That's a great point. Well, Paul, I do know it looks like my dream is over, and one of those incomings will not be Weston McKennie. It's very sad. I had to take a moment to compose myself. When I wake up and I see a whole bunch of tweets my way, I'm like, uh-oh, it's either really good news or really bad news, and that was really bad news. But yes, it is tough with the entire Leeds midfield going to be all U.S. men's national team guys. I'm still a Wolves fan, so I'm sticking with Wolves.
But
however,
on the plus side, it means Leeds are going down, so it'll be okay.
Stephen, I'm starting not to like you. No, we need Leeds to come up. Honestly, if Weston wasn't going to Wolves, I'm glad he's going to Leeds, because this is the best thing for the U.S. men's national team to have 3 of your midfielders playing together every day.
Oh, it's true.
But I guess my kidney is safe, huh, Paul?
I think so. We definitely can't fit another central midfielder in there, and McKinney's definitely not the profile of more of an attacking advanced midfielder that we do need anyway. So I think we need to look elsewhere for our red, white, and blue and the old gold and black.
Yeah, I'll need Danny to really update his spreadsheet come the end of this transfer window. And then one other move, Connor Ronan. He moved to the Colorado Rapids on a permanent transfer, as did Ben Attendee. He moved to Miami on a permanent transfer. So, a couple of MLS guys might work out well. I hope so. Good for them.
I like Connor. I always did. He was a good young player, but he was just never going to push up. So it's a good move for him. I mean, I'll be going to see a Colorado Rapids when they come to Orlando. So,
Steven, is there any name out there in the transfer window that you've heard that you would still like to see come in?
I mean, they're throwing so many out there nowadays. I mean, my biggest one is Wan-Bissaka. I would love to see him. But that means Semedo's gone. And Semedo's last month has been playing decent since the World Cup, since we came back. But he's the biggest one because I think he would give us a little bit more of an edge. And probably a little bit more of a defensive profile. But the issue with that is he's started to play for Man U again.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's and the rest of it, there's so many rumors out there that you never know. I said I think the left back at Real Madrid I was reading earlier.
I think we're fine on left back though. Still, I mean, Bueno's definitely seems to have grabbed it. 8-3. I still think Lopetegui's trying to figure out: is he a left back? Is he a left midfielder? Is he a left winger? I don't really know.
I feel like he's being pushed up as a left winger. The last couple of games, I feel like they've realized he can't defend, but he's great up front.
He's not bad defending. He's not horrible.
Well, the problem is half the time if you go down left, he's already up there and they've already run past him.
I mean, let's be honest here. Is he any worse than Matt Doherty was on defense?
No, not really. Same sort of player.
Right, Paul?
Except Altnor is probably a little quicker.
Yeah, we just haven't had the assist or the goal output from the fullbacks or the wing backs like Matt Doherty used to bring. And that factors into it, and you forget the important role he played in some crucial games and popping up with some crucial goals. I think that will go under the radar and somewhat unjustly.
No, I agree with you. I think with Doherty, we haven't had that attacking force from defense since he left. Semedo once in a blue moon, but Doherty was always there.
Always.
And
for better or worse.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like we've missed that since he's been gone. And I feel like that was the issue when he went to Tottenham, is Tottenham didn't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
Because he's not a defender. He wasn't really a out-and-out winger.
That was a weird move from the start. I never understood
really was.
What they were doing.
No,
I mean the only thing it wasn't a weird move for was Doherty's checkbook. That was it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I get it.
Yeah. Paul, any specific names for you?
No, I'm still in that forward attacking, not necessarily a starting number 9, but I want a striker that can come in and offer something different to what we've already got.
Stephen, what would you give that's not financial, but what would you give to get Erling Haaland on Wolves? Would you give up your Star Wars collection?
Not all of it, but most of it.
Not
Not all of it.
Some of it.
I know you've got to have a
mean,
Millennium Falcon Lego, don't you?
I do not have one. I want
Oh.
one. I've got pretty much all the other ones though. No, I'd pretty much have all the Legos because those are the wives. Just don't tell her; she won't listen to this. She'll be fine.
What about your
no,
prized pop characters?
Oh
For
yeah, you
Erling
can have
Haaland.
yeah, it'll be worth a goal or two. He seems all right.
He seems all right. He seems
Yeah,
okay.
it's all right. You know, I guess he's a constant in fantasy football. I guess. Like who's my captain this week? Oh yeah, there you go.
So
I
I
mean,
like Steven, Wan-Bissaka, I would love to have. Tariq Lamptey, though, he's a good fallback guy. I got excited when I heard his name.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it's very
Forgot
much a
about that.
FIFA
Yeah.
FIFA signing, as Alex
Yeah.
would agree. That's one of those guys that you always just you like to have there at right back because of his speed. So, but I
Yeah.
think he'd be an interesting fit. So we shall see. Sporting apparently is trying to get in, as is Leon. I would love if we could beat,
Oh,
beat him for him
twice. There we go. Yeah.
again. I would say the French would be mad at us, but AP Style is saying we can't call them the French anymore because that's derogatory. I don't know.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, you can't
Oh.
use the in places like you can't call us the Americans. It's derogatory. No, I don't know.
Oh, didn't realize that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll have to find my Kermit again then and just start doing that.
All right, Stephen, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell us how we can get a hold of you, how people can get a hold of you in Florida Wolves and Orlando Wolves?
Yeah, absolutely. Best place to get in touch with me is on Facebook, either Orlando Wolves or Florida Wolves. Either way, I go through both of those. If you want to email me, I'm floridawolves@yahoo.com.
And
You can email me that way.
And which of the 4 Disney parks is your favorite?
Well, okay, so I work for Universal, so I'm gonna go with Islands of Adventure. Now, okay, so here's the thing. I worked for Disney for 20 years prior to COVID, and I was part of the layoffs they did. So I still have an affinity to Disney. So if you're going Disney parks, I love Hollywood Studios because I'm a big Star Wars fan, of course.
Star Wars guy.
But I love Epcot simply for drinking around the world.
Interesting. Paul, you've gone recently, right?
We went a few years ago to Magic Kingdom, but our next big trip will be Universal to do all of the Harry Potter stuff. And I think is Mario going to be there as well? They're doing stuff for Mario.
No, they are, but I think that's going to be probably about 3 years out when they build the new park.
Yeah. So we're looking, around about it then, if the stars align.
Yeah,
I'm in the minority. I am big Animal Kingdom fan. Animal Kingdom, my favorite. Two of the best rides. Honestly, 3 of my favorite rides: Safari, Avatar, Mount Everest. You got the Lion King show, and the little adventure badge that you can get that takes 2 days because it's like 10-mile trek all the way around it. But Animal Kingdom's my favorite. So make sure and go to Universal Studios to go see Steven.
But no, you're right with Avatar. Though it was a good ride. A lot of fun at that one.
So that brings this week's episode to an end. We will be back early on at the start of next week to preview the clash with Liverpool. We've got a free weekend this weekend because of the FA Cup, so we'll be back with a preview show next week. So in the meantime, let's see the signings potentially arrive and possibly keep on coming, and as ever, up the mighty Wolves.
Whole Lotta Wolves is self-funded, so if you're interested in sponsorship opportunities as a way to reach a niche audience, email hello@wholelottofwolves.com for our sponsor packages. Just want to make a contribution as a listener who enjoys the show? Then head to buymeacoffee.com/WLWpod. That's buymeacoffee.com/WLWpod. We greatly appreciate any contribution. Up the Wolves.